My name is Silo Bankole, and I'm co-presenting with 3 people. I always say that everywhere. I'm co-presenting with Omasan. Omasan Buwa, and of course a very beautiful lady. She likes to call me delectable, but I think she's delectable. Aisha Falode.
Thank you, Silo.
And of course, my beautiful, beautiful, smiley, energetic crowd as usual. Thank you for being here. All right, this week, I'm going to kickstart this program with a saying. I'm going to quote a barrister. He says, his name is Barrister Evans Ufeli. He says, adoption is a legal process whereby a person obtains judicial or administrative authorization to take the child of another person as his own, and parental rights and obligations are permanently transferred from the child's natural parents to their adopter. That is a quotation from a barrister, Evans Ufeli, who we shall get to meet later on the show. Now, today on the Amazons, we'll be focusing on adoption and orphanages, giving a child the chance to life. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, I welcome you all to the Amazons. Adoption is not very popular in Africa, my sisters. Because of traditional values, superstition. Sometimes it might even be, societal dictates. Yeah, exactly. So why do you think, in your own words, Omasa?
Well, it's gotten better over the years, unlike, back in the days that it was unheard of. It was almost a taboo to say, I adopted a child.
Or I even plan to.
But, because culturally, and, so much pressure is put on. Marriage is meant for you just to have
procreate.
Children. So now you both they talk, say, I don't want to have kids.
Yeah, but I want to be married.
But as an African woman, and, it was almost as if the woman created herself or whatever, that I don't have kids. So your focus was on how to have your own biological kids. But I think with modern times, things have changed, and thank God for that. Because like you said, some otherwise very, very less privileged child would probably still be in an orphanage.
On the streets or in So Aisha?
Adoption is to the African society, I won't say it's alien, it's just not popular. Because parents or a woman is supposed to almost immediately after getting married, sometimes even before you get married.
Yes.
You have to prove
yourself
that you are fertile, that you can carry a pregnancy and that you can deliver. But I think the society is gradually moving from, ahead of that. These days, people who have children even go as far as to adopt.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of kids out there who need love. They need shelter. They need, that family setting.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they would just have no future. They will be on the streets. But our culture is beginning to accept the fact that, if you cannot have it by yourself,
then
you can raise a child as yours. I mean, somebody who raises a child is even much more a parent than somebody who carried that child and not care for it.
I'm just thinking, I think what we Nigerians don't really like is the term adoption. Because since time immemorial, we have always had people, like when we were growing up, you had cousins, people from your village who were less privileged, who lived in your houses. Some of them, our parents trained them.
But the difference between that is that their parents didn't totally give them up as not being their children anymore.
All right, then we'll take a short break. We've been talking, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we shall be introducing some people that are experts in this adoption business. So don't touch your dial. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, this is the Amazons, and we're talking about adoption in Nigeria and orphanages. All right, then we're going to introduce some guests. I said that before the short break. I'm going to bring in some experts in the adoption business in Nigeria, and they're going to be talking to us. We're bringing in two guests, actually. The first one is an adoption expert. He's also a constitutional lawyer, and it was his quotation I gave at the beginning of the show. His name is Barrister Evans Ufeli. Please put your hands together for him. And to join him, I'd like to invite the founder of Royal Diamond Orphanage, Mr. Favor Ubuyemi. Thank you very much. So we have an adoption expert, and we also have a founder of an orphanage. Okay, I'd like to direct my first question to you, Barrister Ufeli. And what is adoption, really?
Well, adoption is a legal process whereby a couple elects to take up a child who is abandoned or whose parents cannot be found or whose parents cannot be located.
My question is, you were saying that if you live in Lagos, you can't adopt in Ogun. Are adoption laws in all the states uniform?
No.
So why can't I go and adopt in Ogun if Ogun says I can live outside of the state and adopt?
You cannot go and adopt outside Ogun because if you are adopting, you have to adopt within the locality where you reside so that the government or the local authority can vouch for you. If you come from Ogun State, the Lagos State government or the locality in which you want to adopt the child, they cannot vouch for you. You are not known to them. And besides, Nigeria is a federation. You understand? Every state is distinct. It's autonomous. Every state have their own adoption law because of the cultural divergence, because of the diversity in culture and tradition.
Mr. Ubuyemi, I'd like to ask you why you set up an orphanage in the first place.
Thank you very much. What really motivated us, myself and my wife, is the kind of the passion we have for it and the so-called calling that we have. And then it started from when we were young, and then up to when we started having house fellowship. Then from there, grown to having an orphanage home. So that is it.
Is it a home for the church or for you as a couple?
For us as a couple.
Okay, so now I come back to you again. Before you set up an orphanage, you also have to be a couple. You can't, as an individual, say, okay, I have a calling for this. I have a passion for it. I want to give these children, a chance to life. So therefore, let me set up an orphanage. Can I do that as a single person, man or woman?
You can set up an orphanage as a single person. But the process of setting up an orphanage is you must go through certain process of registration where your antecedent in the past is captured. You have to involve the police force, you have to involve the Ministry of Youth and Social Development must be involved. And while you do all that, you must be someone who have a very good history. Not someone who is dubious, not someone who is an ex-convict, or not someone who have been involved in, we've had cases where people sell children. Yes. And no society can condone that because it is the purpose of every government that every society must live on the tenet of ethics. And once ethics is jettisoned, such person cannot be allowed to open an orphanage for the purposes of taking children into custody.
Okay.
I have a question for Mr. Oguniemi. How many children do you have in the orphanage right now?
At a new orphanage, we started in 2014, but officially inaugurated March 5th last year. So we're getting to be one next month. You know, we have like about 10, you know, thereabout.
And I asked that question because these economic times, because I know a lot of orphanages, some popular ones have actually had to more or less close down because the standard of care for the children. So who funds you? How do you?
Like I said, it's a family thing, myself and my wife. But over time, we've seen friends that says, "Oh, we like what you're doing." Oh, they're also encouraged, and since then they've been supporting
What
us.
age range do you have?
We're from babies, like about 2 months to like about 6 years.
Wow.
How do you
2
get
months?
these children?
Really, we get children from other 2 ways, from other police or from
I didn't hear
Alausa.
that.
Police.
From where?
From
Police.
Police.
Police, okay,
Yeah,
police.
or from
Okay.
Alausa. That's the Ministry of Youth and Social Development. So that's 2 ways by which you can get children.
Okay, so the process of for adoption is, we are told now, is much more difficult. Can you run by us if, say, I wanted to come to your home and adopt? What do I need to do that will qualify me, that would ensure that I can adopt from your orphanage?
Number one, like you rightly said, there are some prerequisites which you must meet. And then the first thing is to approach Minister of Youth and Social Development at
No,
Alausa.
I don't approach you. I go to the
No, it
ministry.
goes, they gives you the approval. Then in turn, you come to any of the orphanages home and then look for a child, and then you go back to them, oh, I found one in this home. And then the subsequent stages starts from there.
Okay, so they do all the checks and verification of your
everything.
eligibility to
Everything.
adopt.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Barrister Ofeli, what in your own words can you say can be done to encourage Nigerians to embrace adoption?
Well, Nigeria is a very difficult society. Nigeria is a difficult society because we have so many belief systems that are repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. Some people believe that once you adopt a child, you have acquired witchcraft. Now, some people believe that once the child is not your natural child, then you are in trouble. Neighbors, people around. In fact, the very day you adopt the child, they will call you from your village to come and explain why you have decided to do this. In fact, even in parts of Nigeria, there are children whose parents take on them, beat them, use blade to cut them, that they are witches and wizards.
Yes.
The parents are alive. I'm talking about the parents. They are alive and they are capable of taking care of the child. But because of superstitious belief and this tendency to believe that somebody is trying to harm someone, they will take these children, beat them, and subject them to all kind of hardship. And this is against the laws of the land, because the adoption law only applies to children between the age of 0 and 17.
We're talking about a lot of challenges now, and you're in it. What challenges have you faced? I know you're just a year old, but what challenges have you faced raising these lovely children?
Pretty much, like you said, we're still relatively new, and God has been so good. We've had good kids. And then it boils down to the fact that how do we want to raise these children? So that's the values we want to put in them. and then what we want them to become in the nearest future. And above all, we pray for them. Just we see them as our kids. In fact, they are our kids. They are our kids. And then we pray for them. And by that, they'll be giving us peace.
Okay. Have you had any adopted yet?
That's what I wanted to
Yes,
ask.
we've had one.
Okay.
You have?
Yes,
That's
we've had
good.
one.
That's good.
All right then. So thank you very much, Barrister Ofeli.
Thank you.
Thank you. You said so many key points there. Women, children, very important. You gave a very vivid picture. We saw it, and it really works. And thank you, Mr. Favor Ogunyemi, to you and your wife as well, for embarking on this very humane project of looking after children. We're really happy to have you on the Amazons. We'll go on another break, and when we come back, we'll still be talking about adoption on the Amazons. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, you're watching the Amazons, and we've been talking about adoption. We had some experts with us who gave us a brief rundown on the regulations, the process of adopting children. And we also had a founder of an orphanage. Right about now, we want to introduce some other people to join us in the studio to talk about adoption as well. We have this lovely lady who would like to share a story, on adoption. And she's also a publisher of a magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, please, and help me welcome Azizat. Hello, Azizat. Haven't seen you in years, in Youngs. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Nice to see you again.
The pleasure is all mine. Looking great.
You too. I like your red
all
hair.
in your earthy green.
Yes.
Earthy green. When I saw you, I'm like, okay, we planned this.
Yes. The land is really green. Okay, well, let's call someone else to join us in the person of Bukola Meshida Adefuokwe. Some people will say it's a women's affair.
It is.
Yes, we run the world.
We do. Okay, I don't know how long you've been behind stage, but we've been talking about adoption. What does it mean to you?
Truth is, I came about that word, I didn't come about the word, I came about the practice before I came about that word. To me, I remember when I was a little girl, there was this woman that was like a twin to my mom. They were friends, but they looked alike and all that. Oh, really? And she died, and then she had kids. So in my heart, I wish we could afford to take them in to our home and take care of them. So I made a promise to myself that when I grow up, I will take care of as many as I possibly can.
That's a really nice story.
So are you taking care of any now?
As many as possible. Yes. Recently we just we're actually in the process, but we just welcomed twins into our home.
When she said our home, goes back to what the lawyer had said, that you have to be a couple. Legally married to be able to adopt. Okay, what to you? Okay. What is adoption? How did adoption come into your own dictionary?
Okay, it's taking in children that are not yours, biologically, and caring and giving love to a child that would otherwise have been on the street, otherwise have been exposed to danger, and you are the one, giving succor to such a child. So, in my view, I've come about, I've come about women who have the idea that it's my child or nothing. Women who have reproductive challenge, and they're still adamant in that it has to be my child. So if we find women who stage manage pregnancies, and then at the end of the day, they are caught for criminal offenses when they could otherwise have adopted. So I'm here on trying to change the belief and the mindset. In coaching parlance, we call it reflective repatterning on the concept of adoption. My view, it's all right to give out love. It's all right to adopt. And at the end of the day, it's your life. It's your choice.
Thank you. But hold on there. Can I just... But don't you think it's going to be an uphill battle? Because this staged pregnancy, it's very rampant in, especially down certain parts, south, down the east and all that, So don't you think it's going to be an uphill battle? Because like you said, there's just a certain thing, and women, maybe because of the pressure from society and peers, they want to be seen with that bump.
Yeah.
So don't you think, how do you go about it?
One, the issue is to enlighten women, particularly because from my own experience, I had to wait for 2 years before I started having children. And in those 2 years, those were the longest 2 years of my life. I went to churches, I went to places and places
Fruit of the womb.
for fruit. It's in search of the fruit of the womb. For 2 years.
This is my 14th year.
So, the last place I went, it was a church. The prophet came in and flogged us like school children. We queued up.
Funny, but we're laughing about it.
We're laughing about it now.
No, it's
We queued up and we were flogged like school children. And all the prophet kept saying was obedience, obedience, and he kept flogging us. That was the last day I went there. And I was like, and I was vexed from within me that is it. Now, if you don't get to that level, something might not just happen. When I was in search of the fruit of the womb, I had like 20 calendars all over the house. Calculating my ovulation.
Okay.
I had like 6 thermometers, measuring my temperature. I'm sure my husband felt like a guinea pig. Because when I got the right temperature, I would sit down to him. So he started feeling like a laboratory guinea pig. So making love wasn't just something we did because we wanted to. To me, it was for a purpose. So women, we need to get our minds reorganized.
Azizat, you have a set of children that you've adopted. Do you have kids of your own?
No. But most people find it difficult to, probably will find it difficult to believe now because I'm always surrounded by kids. I've never come out publicly like this to say, no, I don't. Because we have an 18-year-old in our house now that, has been adopted. We've had people, over the years, we take care of them, they get to a certain stage, they move on and all that. So I hardly feel like I do not have that. Even though this is the smallest that we've had, there are 3 months, But just to, underscore what she said, you look at the world, you see so many kids suffering. And then you look at the other side, you see so many women crying. And then I believe in life, in everything else in life, that God will put this here and this here, and then the two of you should find yourself, and then the world is full. So that's just the way
Azizat is looking at adoption as creating that bridge.
Yeah.
Between,
building the bridge.
Yes.
But there's a topic. The reason why I am here today is because there's another thing.
Okay.
right now, presently in Lagos State, there is an embargo on, legal adoption. I said because they said because of child trafficking and all that. And when I found out about that, I was like, is this real? She's trying to get people to adopt.
Yeah.
And then when they eventually come to that point where they are making up their minds that they want to adopt, and then they meet this bridge, there are all sorts of illegal adoptions everywhere.
See the
That's the
Yes,
reason why
that's
I
the
came here,
lacuna,
because
right?
there are all
Lacuna
sorts of
there.
things
A
that
lot
are
of
going to be
that.
depriving women who wants to care, and going to be depriving the children who wants to have love. That we're in court right now, because we need
court
to
with
get
who?
in court with
biological-
the government.
No, it's with the government.
Because we have to get this right. We have to get this right.
Okay, the government is acting on behalf of who? On behalf
Is-
of itself?
yes. The state owes it as probably a responsibility to take care of
The children.
everybody. So there is this structure like, okay, if this does not belong to anyone, it belongs to
They are
us.
wards of
Ministry
the
of Youth.
state.
Yes.
So you want to say something?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do want to say something. You see, all of these names, adoption,
Fostering.
fostering,
Foster
Yeah.
care.
and all of that. Now, has anybody traveled to Kano Street at Ebute Meta? We see 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, half naked, walking about. Nobody has time for them. If someone now decides to care for these children, we begin to have names. Adoption, it is illegal. But please, who is caring for those children on the streets now?
Nobody.
The moment you stretch out an arm of love or something, you begin to hear the names. We begin to get legalistic.
So people are scared. I've heard all sorts of things during this process. They are, how are you sure of this? How are you for? So because I am not sure, I will leave those children to,
3 months old.
to whatever.
We have found out that there's this rigorous process of adoption. But in the interim, these are 2 stories of people that grabbed the bull by the horn, knew they had love to share, went for it and have done it. And, just success stories everywhere. So what are you waiting for out there? If you are in a position where you can touch someone's life, where you can change someone's life, no need to wait. You can grab that opportunity right away, right now, and start doing something about it. In conclusion, children, we all know, are a gift from God. And we have seen so many cases, like she rightly said, you understand, when people have taken people's children in, and as a result, well, we don't know if it's as a result of it or not, but we have seen them being blessed eventually afterwards. So who knows, that might be the story of your own life if you do toe that line. All right? Children in the orphanages are begging. They are begging for love, asking for love. I am Silo. I was with Aisha and Omasa. And Aziza, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you as well. Thank you so much. You're doing a great job, as a life coach. Stay blessed.